world of Azeroth, and all those who dwell upon it, need time to heal. The series of great wars and invasions wrought upon it cannot be forgotten so easily. The story must continue, however, through its survivors. How will the heroes that were triumphant in the face of such impossible odds even begin to rebuild their world? Thrall was left with the shattered remains of his horde, no longer bent on war or conquest, but along with their honoured friends the Tauren and the cunning Darkspear trolls, they would focus now on building a home for their people, a place where they could not only live, but thrive. Crossing the Great Sea and returning to the Eastern Kingdoms was never really an option. Old hatreds ran deep in that blood-soaked land. Instead, he sought the prosperous lands of Kalimdor. The beautiful rugged landscape of the Barrens is where he began. He battled the ferocious Quillboar, eventually claiming large swaths of the territory, naming it Durotar in memory of the father he would never know. He founded its capital city, Orgrimmar, named such after Orgrim Doomhammer, and after many long and arduous months, it began to pull together. The Tauren were now neighbours and had returned to their lands in Mulgore, retaining their honour-bound alliance with the Horde. The Trolls instead had founded their own city on the Echo Isles, a series of small islands just off the coast of Durotar. They still needed to defend their lands, however. The Quillboar would not so easily forgive, and remained an ever-present threat, as many of his scouts soon found out in the coming months. One of these scouts was named Mogren. After being set upon by Quillboars, a large, imposing Mok'Nathal attempted to come to his aid, but it proved not enough. The large half-ogre, half-orc instead delivered news of the scout's death to Thrall himself, who for his kindness offered him a place to stay within the city. Over time, Thrall would grow to respect his Mok'Nathal named Rexxar. A friendship was born, one that would stand the test of time. But peace never lasts. Not on Azeroth. Dire news had come. Humans had begun amassing on their borders once more. Thrall had signed a tentative treaty with Daelin Proudmoore, one that he hoped would prevent the need for further bloodshed. It appears that this had failed. For now, he would send Rexxar among a few others to investigate. Daelin Proudmoore, at the end of the war, was no longer the young mage prodigy. She had grown into her role and her power. At war's end, many of her forces had made the long journey home. However, she would stay, claiming an old human outpost in the Duskwallow Marsh as her own, and founding the port city and naming it Theramore. There was still so much she wished to accomplish, and this would be her beginning. Many chose to stay. Some had no family to return to. Others saw a bright future here in this burgeoning city. And they would be right. Theramore quickly grew into one of the most influential cities in the human empire. For 3 gloriously peaceful years, Theramore grew in tandem with the Horde. While there was some unease from the citizens, ones who could not let go of old grudges, the peace held. That was until a concerned Rexxar confronted Jaina about the growing human encroachment, but she swore she had no knowledge and would even help him investigate. Jaina was horrified by what she found. Her father, Daelin Proudmoore, had come to pay her a visit with a rather large force of men. She pleaded with him to release Rexxar and the other envoys, but he would have none of it. He had come to enact his hatred for the Horde, he was intent on war. They did manage to escape their captors, but this left Jaina in utter despair. She loved her father. Her loyalty to him and to her people meant a great deal to her. But she was changed. Fighting the Legion had shown her that these old vendettas, these hatreds, they were meaningless, and the cycle needed to be broken. Once Rexxar returned to Thrall to warn him of the impending attack, the war chief had no choice but to retaliate in order to keep his people safe. He mustered the Horde forces once more, but he had been too late. The Admiral had planned too far in advance, and a blockade of ships surrounded the port. They had no way through. It was then that Jaina used her magic to teleport in and gain an audience with Thrall. She assured them she came in peace and had no knowledge of her father's plans, that she would stand against him, no matter what. It was then that she informed the war chief of a goblin shipyard, one that would be able to supply the ships with what they needed to break the line. She had but one request, to spare as many of the innocent men as he could. He swore this to her. He would keep the bloodshed to a minimum. But the ships worked perfectly, taking the Lord Admiral by surprise. Many of the humans still loyal to Jaina followed her orders to step down also. This allowed Thrall and his party to fight their way quickly to Daelin himself. Thrall and his forces eventually confronted the Lord Admiral one last time before battle's end, trying to reason with him that this horde was new, that it was not the same horde as its predecessor. The demon's grip on the orcs was broken. They wished only to live in peace, a hard-fought peace that he and the citizens of Theramore had proven could work these past years. He spat back his words to the war chief like venom, that the orcs were guilty of genocide. His hatred ran too deep. He would never forgive, never forget all the orcs had done, and how they destroyed lives and families beyond counting. He would never stop. He would never quit. He fought right up until his death, just as he and Jaina foresaw. As soon as his body fell, they announced the battle was over. The humans complied, and all would step down. Enough blood had been spilled this day. Jaina fell to her knees beside her father. "Why couldn't you listen?" she cried. Rexxar would try to comfort the mage, exclaiming how her father was a proud warrior. That should be his legacy, what he should be remembered for. Thrall withdrew his forces and left Theramore in peace, a city now in mourning once more, along with Jaina, who had to come to terms with all she had lost. The Kultiran people did not react well to the news of Jaina's betrayal, branding her a traitor, and seceding from the alliance almost completely for not bringing her to justice. Rexxar also felt his time had come to return to the wilds. Thrall wished nothing more than for him to stay. Instead, the Moknathal told Thrall that he was Horde now, and always would be. That while he may wander the wilds, that if the Horde should ever have need of him, he would return. The Night Elves too were busy during these intervening years. Their leader, Malfurion, had returned to the Great Slumber, and along with most of the Druids. This left Fandral Staghelm, an Elder and Archdruid, to lead in his absence. The absence of immortality was keenly felt by the Night Elven people. Fandral believed that they should plant a new world tree in order to reclaim the immortality he felt they deserved. He intended to do this by taking a branch from Nordrassil the previous world tree, as he had done once before long ago in order to halt the spread of Saronite. While last time he did so without permission, this time he would be more careful. Teldrassil, meaning crown of the earth in Danacian, was planted on an island off the northwest coast of Kalimdor. This new world tree would become the bountiful home of the Night Elves. He had convinced the Circle of Ancient Treants and the Archdruids to grow this world tree, but this tree did not receive the blessing of the aspects. Once again, it was absence that defined the Night Elves. The absence of the blessing left the tree vulnerable to corruption. Very slowly at first, a shadow would grow atop the wondrous branches. The darkness would seep deep into the roots, biding its time, infecting as many of its inhabitants as it could. We are close now to the world of Warcraft that we all know and love, but that will have to wait until next time. I do hope everyone enjoyed the new style for the videos, all the art and the intros. I'd like to thank everyone for the support, couldn't have done it without you. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed the content. Oh, and don't forget to come back anytime.